Hi, I'm Michael Costa and I've got a copy of the Unisum Mastering Compressor from Tone Projects. If I had to describe what differentiates this mastering compressor from some of the others out there, I would say two things. Firstly, I haven't seen anything on the market with this level of configurability, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. The amount of control this affords the engineer, if you want to dig in and use it, is remarkable. And the second thing is its transparency. If you want pure and clean but still very pleasing sounding compression, I personally am loving what I'm hearing from this compressor. Now, on the subject of transparency, we all know there's a huge amount of choices out there for compressors that impart some sort of attitude or tone onto the source, and many of those are wonderful and highly desirable. Even this one has this HYGGE button, which adds desirable transformer and tube artifacts, but for this demo, I'm going to keep things clean. Now on the surface here you can see the usual array of compressor style functions plus a few extra ones, so threshold ratio, attack and release and so on, as well as a controllable knee, makeup gain, gain reduction limit which some compressors have, which allows you to set an amount of gain reduction no matter how hard the unit is compressing. You can say don't go beyond 4 dB or 6 dB of gain reduction or whatever, and a few other controls that may not be so familiar. Over here on the right hand side is just a mirror image, so it's a left and right or mid-side configuration. But what's hiding under the hood in this compressor is what's amazing. Now if I come down here and click this little trapdoor, check out all these controls. Now this is what I was talking about earlier. This gives you an unprecedented amount of control over the sound that can be sculpted with this unit. Now over here you may have noticed this talks about multiband detector. So it's important to point out that this is a wideband or single band compressor. It is not a multiband compressor, despite what some of this might look like. It has extremely flexible multiband detection, meaning we can tailor with great precision what the compressor hears in its detection circuit and what it reacts to. But do understand that when it does react, the effects are across the whole program. So this is not going to detect the low end and then attenuate only the low end like a multiband compressor would. This is a wideband mastering compressor. So for this exercise, I'm going to shut this trapdoor and just deal with what we've got here. Now, just at a very simple level, let me set this to the default. Now you can see here there's a bunch of really useful presets showing all sorts of colors and ramifications, but we're just going to go for the default just so you can hear what the starting point is. Now I had my ratio up at 4:1, it's jumped back to 2:1, and the threshold has gone to 0, which is going to be too high for the program I'm about to put into it. So I'm going to put some program in and we'll drag the threshold down till we see some gain reduction.
And this place is such a part of us, knowing every pathway, knowing every leaf and tree. And the story of the
Okay, so you can see I'm up to about 2 dB of gain reduction there. So let's go to our makeup gain and we'll just make up 2 dB. So we've got a relatively fair comparison here. Now, even just this, I've changed nothing else but lowered the threshold to meet the program. Let's play this and we'll do a few bypasses back and forth.
And this place is such a part of us, knowing every pathway, knowing every leaf and tree. And the story of the two of us, all the ties that bind the secret life of you and me, growing closer to a heart.
Now it might be subtle to hear at first, but the difference I'm hearing is particularly in the drums and the transients, how the program jumps forward. Now just taking that one step further, let's push our ratio up to about 4:1. And we'll try the same trick. Now it might be compressing just a little bit harder now, so I'll back it off so it's still around 2 dB.
And this place is such a part of us, knowing every pathway, knowing every leaf and tree. And the story of the two of us, all the ties that bind the secret life of you and me, growing closer to the heart of us, all the things we are.
So again, I'm hearing the same thing I was hearing at 2:1, but slightly more pronounced now. The transients are a little bit pointier again. And again, as we say, this is a clean response. This is with no harmonics generated. It's just changing the shape of the transients that we had without adding extra harmonics. Now let me unbypass that, open the trapdoor again down here, and just point you toward this little style menu here. So even if we don't want to touch any of these controls, there is a whole bunch of presets here that we can look at by clicking on there, and it pops up and even gives a handy little description for each one. As I jump through these, watch what happens to all the settings underneath here. I'll do it from these arrows so we can see the settings. So as I jump through these presets from smooth to firm to open, you can see all the different parameters jumping to meet that need. So for instance, if I wanted one particularly, let's say my goal is really to make the drums poke out. I really want my track to be a little bit more pointy and transient. So perhaps I would go to energetic, which brings in an exponential release curve, or something like firm, which gives a responsive RMS peak detector with a smooth envelope filter. So I'm hoping that might make the drums jump out more. So again, without changing any other settings, I'll just switch to firm and we'll give that one a run, still at 4:1.
And this place is such a part of us, knowing every pathway, knowing every leaf and tree. And the story of the two of us, all the ties that bind the secret life of you and me. Growing closer to the heart of us, all the things we are.
So again, it takes a keen ear. I hope you're listening on a high resolution system or perhaps on headphones, and you can hear that the transients are getting louder because we've got this slow attack time by default, and we've made up 2 dB of gain, and the transients are getting through and getting boosted. So in this situation, that's exactly what I want in a master like this. So finally, if you're the slightest bit interested in this unit, go and grab a copy of the excellent demo version from the Tone Project's website. It's a fully functional demo that periodically adds a little bit of noise to the signal, but unlike some companies' demos, the noise is actually soft and doesn't scare the hell out of you when it comes in, which I'm most grateful for. So I hope you found that useful, and I'll see you in my next video.